presentation today and not prior to the work session. I was on vacation the week before, and when I was pulling the data to link it, custom reports went down. So all of the charts that I was trying to pull, they didn't have, by the time they fixed it, I was away, so I finished it and got it to you guys and see that today. So I do apologize that you didn't have time to look at it ahead of time. I have some really good data though that I'm happy to share with you. So we're going to review the New Jersey performance reports that came out, our 24-25 winter iReady reading and math data, as well as our winter DIBELS data, well actually our fall and winter DIBELS data, as well as our winter math intermediate and math MRI data. So for the New Jersey performance reports, like I'm really super excited to share with you for the first time ever, we met all of our targets in proficiency and growth. That's never happened. Usually we meet it in one and not the other. And this is the first year that we have met it. And you can see here for ELA proficiency, we met the target across the board in every sub area as well, every racial group. In math proficiency, the only area where we did not meet the target was our Black or African American students. For ELA growth, we exceeded the standard in 4 out of the 7 subgroups there. We've never exceeded the standard, so this is really exciting. Our math growth, we've met the standard in all of our subgroups as well. So that is a huge applause for all of our teachers, instructional coaches, curriculum team, principals, everybody have just been working so hard to get that done. And they're doing a great job. This is a look at the last couple of years. So the green circles was this year. So you can see the performance measure for our median student growth percentile. So some of you would know them as your MSGK. For ELA, we exceeded the standard. And for math, we met the standard, which we met the standard last year as well. But we did grow in both areas. So, and we're higher than the state in both areas as well. Looking at this column here, this is 23-24 for ELA, and this is math, and you can see the last 2 years, not met, not met, not met, not met. This year, we met. So all of the things that we're putting into place, all of the things that we are doing is working, and we're finally starting to see those results transfer over into our state test scores.
Can you explain why the annual target went down for ELA and math? So we were on target of 53.7% in 22-23, and last year it was 38%.
This came right from the state, so I'll have to look at that.
So they really do
dropped the target.
Yeah,
Dropped the bar. Yeah.
State drop the bar.
Yeah. Lower the bar. I'm just asking.
Well,
That's fine.
You look at their data, they lowered it by almost 20 percentage points for ELA, and they lowered it for 16 percentage points for math.
They keep, every year I feel like they change something. And I know, like, I've shown you the positive trends that we've had as a district in our grade levels from historical to here as well. So, and next year we're getting a new state assessment. So just found that out, by the way. For math and language arts, there'll be a brand new state assessment. So everything will be changed. It's like every time you can start looking for trends, it's like you can't, then it changes all the time. The only area where we didn't meet was our chronic absenteeism. So we only actually met in 2 areas, which was our Black and African American students and the multilingual learners. Every other subgroup did not meet for chronic absenteeism. However, when you look at our 3 years, our chronic absenteeism has decreased significantly in some areas. Main Road is the only one that actually had an increase. They were the lowest for the last 2 years, and then they were the highest, or one of the highest last year. But for the district, we went from 18.9 to 16.9 to 15.4. But if you look at Jambier the last 2 years, those percentages were really high, so it makes sense that Main Road got higher, but it's still at 14.5%, which is a decrease. So we are decreasing with our percentage of students that are chronically absent. 18? 18. So taking a look at our Dibbles data, this is the Dibbles data for the beginning of the year. We had done it in November, so I didn't have the data done when I presented to you guys. So taking a look at the blue is Core Plus, which means students are above level. The green are the students that are on level. So it's really great to show you that from majority of our students are in that green and blue. When you put them together, so we're in between 51% and 76% of the students being on or above level in Dibbles. Historically, we've always been in that yellow, that at-risk area, majority of our students. So that was the beginning of the year data. And in the middle of the year data, you can see that we still are, the targets get higher for what the students have to do. The bar is set higher. In first grade, there was a decrease of 14% of the students being on or above level, but there's also a lot more that they're expected to do by the middle of the year. Again, majority of our students are in that green and blue category together, making up between 53 to 63% of the student population being on or above level in Dibbles. For iReady reading, this is showing you from fall to winter. So from fall to winter, the students that were mid or above level, which is that dark green color, increased by 18%. The early on grade level increased by 9%. The one grade level below, which is the yellow, where we are always historically, always in that one level below, decreased by 16%. And then our 2 or more grade levels below decreased by 13%. I just highlighted, this is from fall to winter data. I just kind of highlighted kindergarten, 3rd grade, and 6th grade because just looking at their green, looking at that dark green and that lighter green color, every grade level made growth across the board, but I just feel like those 3 grade levels made the most growth that you can see there. Looking at kindergarten, only 20% of the students scored 1 grade level below. Now, when we're looking at the green, majority of our students are falling in that early on or mid to late grade level. For iReady Math, you'll see the same thing. Our dark green went from 7% to 26%, which was an increase of 21%. Early on level increased by 12%, 1 grade level below decreased by 19%, and 2 or more grade levels below decreased by 12%. So historically in math too, we were always falling in that yellow category. Now, majority of our students are starting to fall into the green when you combine them together. I highlighted kindergarten and 6th grade again for the math data, just to take a look at how much growth they have made from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. So we are now looking at about 50% of our students being early on or mid or above grade level in math as well, according to iReady. Taking a look at the red, if you're looking at the 2 grade levels below or 3 or more grade levels below, take a look at 2nd grade. They decreased by 21%. 3rd grade also decreased by 21%. And 5th grade decreased by 16%. For our math interview and MRI data, we put a new kindergarten screener in place this year because if you look at 1st grade, this shows we need a new screener. 98% of our kids are on grade level according to our screener, and there was only 1 student in all of 1st grade that was an emergency on this screener. So where we used to have gaps and deficiencies, we have now strengthened those areas of weakness that fit those foundational skills, and we'll be putting a new screener into 1st grade next year as well. So the numbers next year will be, most likely will mimic what kindergarten looks like. We caught more kindergarten students this year in math than we ever had, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that screener strengthens this group of students over time. But taking a look at the kindergarten, 48% of the students were on level in the beginning of the year, with 42% of them being emergency. Now we're at 64% of them being on level, with 29% still being emergency. In 2nd grade, they're taking the multi-digit math interview. They increased from 57% of the students being on level to 90% of the students being on level, showing us, okay, we probably need a new screener in second grade as well, which our math committee is currently working on, the new screeners for those grade levels. In second grade, only 2 students were emergency out of the whole student population. Spatial reasoning was our weakest area, and benchmarks of 5 and 10 was our strongest area. In grades 3 through 5, you'll notice in third grade, this is the first grade they take the math reasoning inventory. 62% of the students were on level at the beginning of the year. We're now at 67% of the kids being on grade level. And the at-risk and the emergency kind of are staying the same. Multiplication and division being the weakest area, which makes sense because that's what they're just now learning and really getting into with the multiplication and division. In fourth grade, there was, I say, a significant decrease of students being on level, so I went right to the math coaches and asked, like, what's going on with fourth grade? How they're the only grade level that showed a decrease with the MRI. It was explained to me that at the beginning of the year in fourth grade, the students, everything that they're expected to do with numbers is within 100. By the middle of the year, they're expected to do multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction within 1,000, and they're all mentally, and they're also supposed to be able to interpret remainders and addition. So it gets significantly harder for them at the middle of the year. So I'm really curious to see how the end of the year will break out for fourth grade. For fifth grade, they just took their MRI for the first time, 68% of the students being on level. Sixth grade took their MRI at the beginning of the year, and they take it again at the end of the year. So you'll have more data for them at the end of the year. And then for the student tiers, I just wanted to put in here what our numbers are for each grade level. So I put in the grade level, the current population, the tier 1.5, which I know is a Jamie tier. That's how we talk about it around here. But those are the students that are on grade level but still require some remediation support with grade level material. Tier 2 and Tier 3 students are still in that intervention range. So at the DLC this week, they will be taking a look at these along with the percentage of students that need and require supports and looking at projected population for next year and how many intervention rooms will we need per grade level for ELA and math. That's all I have for you.
Board member questions from the
No, you mentioned the math, how many times do you work with?
Well, we have part-time coaches. So they're in the classroom part of the day and coaching part of the day. But as for the rest of the school year, they're back in the classroom and I do not have coaches. But they've been integral the last couple of years getting us where we are. Anything else?
When you say new screener,
Yes.
you think there's stuff simplified?
Yes, we're missing something. So when we first put these screeners in place, we found what we were missing and we were able to strengthen those areas. But now we're like, okay, in second grade,
It
we're
can't be all over the screen. It's gotta be something.
correct. What is it that we're missing now? Good.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yes. Jamie, you just brought up.
This evening is our budget hearing.
All right, so I wanted to showcase what's been going on in our schools for the entire year, the academic growth that we've been seeing internally. We know that our state data doesn't come back until the end of summer, but that's not the only information we have about how our students are doing and how much they've grown. So I really want to highlight for you what we see and what we've been responding to during the year. So I'll start with math. I'm really happy with where math is going for us. So this is an internal assessment we take. It's a growth measure. The top is the beginning of the year, and green and blue is good. That's on or above level. So you can see as we move from beginning of the year to middle of the year to the end of the year, the green and blue are increasing at a really nice pace. So I'm very happy with that. To look a different way, this is how we looked at the beginning of the year, and this is how we've grown in the middle school. So again, we're looking at about 72% on or above grade level in mathematics at the middle school. At the high school, again, green and blue increase over the course of the year to about 18 plus 35. 54. That's great, yes. Perfect. Even more impressive, and this is something that when this number became available to us is really exciting. So our district percentage at or above proficiency, at the beginning of 2023, it was 37.4. By the end of the year, it was up to 54.6. When we started this year, we started at 46.4, almost 10 points higher than where we started last year, and we still continue to grow to 62%. So what this is showing is that we are building math proficiency back brick by brick, slowly but surely, starting off in a stronger position this year than we started last year. So we're really excited about that. I'll get into the things we've been doing. You've seen our math presentation before, so I'll just highlight that. A Lexile level is kind of a reading measure. So at the middle school, you can see from the beginning of the year, down just above 860, getting up over the 900 mark. That is a really good sign. Anything around 900 and above is an indicator of being college and career ready. So as that average creeps closer to 900 and above, that's a really good sign about how we're going to do on state assessments and things like that. And again, it's a marker of college and career readiness. So we can begin to look at the discrete grade levels. Again, upward trend in both 7th and 8th grade. For the high school, again, really nice upward trend. I love that it's above 1,000 here. That's exactly where it should be. Looking at the grade levels, you can see that nice upward trend. 12th grade, they don't take the assessment as much because a lot of them are moving into other things in their life. So that spike at the end is not just our 12th graders all of a sudden learned how to read in the last month. That's just the way the assessment is given out. But really, really great to see an upward trend. This is just an indication of the type of growth we've seen in the year. So in the high school, we went from a 30-point increase in 23-24 to a 54-point increase in 24-25, and then 68 in the middle school and a 52 growth. Really, really good. And again, starting off in particularly in the middle school in a higher position, a much higher position than we started off in 23-24. This is just all that information put into one graph. So I've already explained it, but again, just really nice growth over the year. This chart is a little tricky because the scale gets smaller. Like it starts at 900 here, and it's at 850 over there. We had to widen the scale to show the amount of growth. So really nice in the 7th grade to be ticking up so much closer to 1250 than we were here. Same thing, had to revamp the chart for growth. Really nice to see those things ticking up closer to 1250. SAT, in 24-25, just ticked a little bit below state average, but our PSAT numbers are looking pretty good, right in the SAT average, a couple points above. So how does this growth happen? Particularly when we talk about, this is the end of my 4th year. When I walked into the district, we were creeping out of the pandemic when the bottom fell out of every school district everywhere. And so we have been rebuilding a school district as we've been operating a school district. So how does this happen? It happens instructionally. Adopting high-quality instructional materials, expanding our programs where other school districts are restricting their programs. That's expanding CTE. It's bringing in law enforcement. We've been revamping our instructional model. You've all seen the Building Thinking Classrooms presentation. Some of you have visited those classrooms, getting kids out of their seats and re-engaged. We've developed an early warning system that pings counselors and administrators when a student becomes at risk, academically, behaviorally, social, emotionally, We get an alert every week to go and intervene on behalf of that kid. That's something that we have built in-house in Delsea, the first school in the state to do so. That allows us to do data-informed interventions. We've been revising our code of conduct. We've been balancing both restorative practice with accountability. Again, back with that early warning system, to take care of the social emotional needs of students. We partnered with the Food Bank of South Jersey to bring food stability to not just our students, but our families. Our Jefferson Partnership for social workers. Then climate and culture for our staff. Delsea has taken the lead in reducing administrative paperwork that teachers have to complete for silly reasons. In fact, Delsea is such a model of that. You're approving the awarding of a climate and culture grant, and Delsea has been selected to present at the State Teacher Climate and Culture Institute in July to showcase what we've done to ease the burden of paperwork on teachers so they can focus on teaching. And through that time gained back on not completing ridiculous paperwork, we've repurposed the time so that educators can teach how we want them to teach. And because we are one of the 10 AI Vanguard districts in the state, we are adopting platforms to further assist in that planning. So underneath, I created a key that shows you all the ways that we've leveraged funding outside of local funds. So intensive grant writing, some of the grants we get anyway, the ESSER funding, we spent that very responsibly. Again, the AI grant, the bipartisan grant, 2 teacher climate and culture grants, our annual federal funding that we spend. It's about us getting into the room. So with educator paperwork, I go to Trenton once or twice a month to sit on a leadership evaluation and educator evaluation panel so that we can talk about ways to not just ease the burden, but what are different ways that educators can be evaluated besides observations, SGOs. So I've been a part of that conversation and really brought the work we've done at Delsea to the forefront of the state conversation. But all these things behind the scenes are what get you academic improvement. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a single year. It doesn't happen because you want it to happen. It happens because every cog in the machinery works hard. It's not about a fad. It's about the grind of the work. And so it's June. I know our teachers are tired. They deserve the rest when that last day happens. And I know they deserve it because of the results that we're getting. While other people still haven't gotten out of that curve, Delsea is getting out of the curve. And it's just because of the sheer amount of work the professionals in this district have put into doing that. So, any questions?
Bravo.
Dr. Fitz, the articulation with the elementaries, has that improved to support this process? Is that the obvious question?
So what I can tell you, obviously because we have a shared service with ELK, I can in this moment tell you how the class of 2030 is, how the class of 2031 is, all the way down to first grade and kindergarten, and I can vertically articulate that. Franklin has been, our relationship, I'm not going to say they've been much better, I'll say we have all been much better in preserving that relationship so that we get data from Franklin so that we can immediately integrate those students into our interventions and really try to understand them as best we can. Now there's always going to be this barrier. Their systems look different than ours do. But we do a lot of the work behind the scenes, and that takes cultivating a relationship and making sure that it doesn't break.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.